Chapter 1. Understand the past to cope with the present and future. It all began 13.5 billion years ago with the emergence of matter and energy, marking the birth of physics. Roughly 300,000 years later, matter and energy evolved into atoms and molecules, revealing the secrets of chemistry. Biology first appeared 3.8 billion years ago with the emergence of the first organisms, while the evolution of Homo sapiens 70,000 years ago set the stage for human history. Throughout the years, three monumental revolutions shaped humanity. The cognitive revolution, commencing around 70,000 years ago, ushered in the advent of the human mind. The agricultural revolution, starting 12,000 years ago, transitioned societies from hunting and gathering to agriculture and animal domestication. The scientific revolution, beginning about 500 years ago, revolutionized our understanding of nature through advancements in mathematics, physics, astronomy, biology, and chemistry. Our brain power as Homo sapiens has made us the most influential organism on Earth. Evolution has enhanced our neural capacity, nerve concentration, and reliance on others. Unlike other species, human babies are born not fully mature and require years of care and protection. In ancient times, the entire tribe played a role in raising a child, and those skilled in social connections tended to live longer. As a result, our brains naturally seek relationships with friends and family, perceiving them as crucial for survival. If this remarkable correlation excites you, this summary will too, as it will lead you through the history of humanity and how our past shaped modern society. Learning the history of humanity is like grasping the instructions on the inner workings of ourselves and the world. Stay tuned to learn how humanity has evolved and transformed over time. Just as our childhood development has shaped who we are and why we act the way we do, history molds our behavior and thoughts. Chapter 2. The Cognitive Revolution, Fueling Fiction and Cooperation. In the past, various human species coexisted until Homo sapiens conquered the world and replaced them. Scientists are still searching for a conclusive answer regarding how the transition happened. One theory proposes interbreeding, while another proposes the replacement theory, suggesting that Homo sapiens killed rival species. How did we evolve from primitive creatures into beings who rule the planet? One of the main reasons is our unique and flexible language, which can express the intricate details of our complex world. For example, while ants are adept at communication and collaboration for simple tasks, they cannot delve into family matters, emotions, or social hierarchies. In contrast, we share similarities in these aspects with apes. However, our ability to create complex myths, gods, and other works of fiction grants us supremacy over the world and unites us a species. The cognitive revolution began with ideas, fantasies, and beliefs, which led to the formation and development of diverse cultures, nations, and religions. People sacrifice their lives in wars for their nation, devote their time to law firms in pursuit of justice, and build churches to honor their gods. Nations, human rights, states, corporations, money, and gods are all products of our collective imagination. These fictions exist because millions believe in and support them, a direct result of the cognitive revolution. While our world has evolved significantly, our DNA still carries the behavioral patterns of hunter-gatherers from 30,000 years ago. One example is our tendency to crave high-calorie food, a trait developed for survival in ancient times. As a result, even with well-stocked fridges, we sometimes find ourselves unable to resist overeating. Regarding relationships, Homo sapiens have historically embraced diverse forms of relationships, some monogamous, some polygamous, some heterosexual, and some homosexual. Before the agricultural revolution, humans were foragers who knew everything about their surroundings. A few hours of gathering and hunting provided ample time for gossiping, playing with kids, and enjoying the simplicity of life. At the time, gossiping was more than a pastime for the curious. It was an evolutionary necessity to understand who acted in favor of the tribe's survival. Foragers believed in animism, which claims that animals, plants, objects, and phenomena have souls. This ideology implies that humans aren't at the top of the natural hierarchy and that other entities don't serve them but possess their own feelings and needs. Chapter 3. The Two Sides of the Agricultural Revolution Coin. The agricultural revolution began around 12,000 years ago and gave rise to farming, a pivotal step in our evolution. This breakthrough paved the way for population growth and the formation of more complex social structures, such as cities and states, allowing political, economic, and cultural institutions to emerge. Even though the revolution's upsides are undeniable, we should also be aware of the drawbacks and the price we paid for the progress. One cost of our evolution is the death of a 4-year-old boy because there was too much rain, and his father's rice didn't grow. Settling in one place and working harder contributed to the spreading of illnesses and diseases. Relying on a limited range of crops led to a less diverse and nutritious diet. Despite toiling harder than their ancestors, people found themselves trapped in a lousy quality of life with no way to turn. Then, the desire for an easier life became a double-edged sword, trapping us with even more duties and struggles. Since the agricultural revolution, we have misinterpreted luxury for simplicity. Many dedicate most of their time to work, hoping to one day have enough time for the true passions. But this desire is accompanied by a mortgage, kids, and the drive to possess more. And with that comes the surprise that luxury doesn't fill the void within us, and working hard doesn't always give us the sense of purpose we crave. We also progress by creating social networks to simplify communication and connect easier. But do we feel more relaxed with tons of messages? Is it genuine progress if we become more anxious, stressed, and overburdened with work? We aren't the only ones who suffered due to the agricultural revolution. People have damaged animals' instincts, sexuality, and social lives. Sometimes it involved cruelty like cutting pigs' noses to prevent escape or killing calves to maintain milk production from cows. In modern farming, calves are taken away from their mothers and put in a cage the size of their body. They are not allowed to play or walk, all in the pursuit of tender muscles and tasty steak. Their only interaction with other cows is on their way to their impending slaughter. So, the lesson is that we paid for progress and luxury with the cost of individual suffering. However, all hope is not lost. We can choose to do better. Chapter 4. Inequality is the product of the fictions society created. Nowadays, equality is our fundamental value. But before that, people believed hierarchy was the key to maintaining order, prosperity, and stability. Despite efforts to promote equality, such as the American Declaration of Independence, the supremacy of certain groups over marginalized ones still reigned. White people over black people and Indians, men over women, and rich over poor. These fictions emerged from the human mind, as no scientific evidence exists to support that white people and black people have any biological differences beyond physical appearance. Discrimination arose alongside arbitrary historical events, perpetuating the established social order for future generations. Even after the abolition of slavery, segregation persisted due to myths and stereotypes about black people and how society treated them for centuries. Even though men and women are slightly different biologically, gender inequality is the product of social and cultural constructs rather than biological differences. Since the agricultural revolution, most societies have been patriarchal, raising and teaching women to lead a feminine life, and men, a masculine one. The roots of gender inequality are complex and yet undefined. There are different theories attempting to explain why societies value men more, but none provide a compelling enough argument. Men are mostly physically stronger. However, women didn't have access to education, politics, priesthood, and law, which had little to do with physical power. Men's cognitive and hormonal systems are more violent, making them better soldiers. So why weren't women the ones managing the war intellectually? The survival strategies made men more aggressive and ambitious, while women exhibited more submissive traits and focused on raising kids. Men sought social dominance to find a partner, and women chose the strongest partner to care for them and help raise their children. Interestingly, some animals' behaviors illustrate that female dependence on help with the kids resulted in matriarchal societies. Women can bear children, and while child rearing is a natural ability, it's not their only purpose. Moreover, the labels natural and unnatural come from Christian theology. Biology says unnatural things don't exist, and all possibilities are natural. Chapter 5. Money, empires, and religions have interconnected our world. Money, a psychological construct representing imagined value, emerged in response to the need to exchange goods and favors. It fostered massive cooperation, allowing us to transform land into food and convert health into knowledge. With money, We have built robust economies, but perpetuated inequality and switched our focus to wealth at the expense of other values. Empires have brought along cruelty, violence, destruction, and war, leaving behind a trail of suffering. Yet they have also played a significant role in spreading ideas, goods, institutions, technology, and cultures. Religion has shaped human values and beliefs, made us feel connected, and given us a sense of belonging. Buddhism, one of the major religions, is centered around Siddhartha Gautama, a human who questioned why people experience unhappiness, anxiety, and frustration regardless of their possessions or actions. He concluded that suffering arises from cognitive patterns of behavior. Our minds crave, and craving is a close friend of dissatisfaction. The solution in Buddhism is to experience your feelings as they are without longing to change them. Siddhartha Gautama created meditations focusing on a person's feelings rather than what someone should feel. It is the way to achieve nirvana, literal meaning is blowing out, a transcendent state, free from suffering, fantasies, desires, and the sense of self-no craving means no pain. Humanity sought to make sense of the world through various myths, superstitions, and religions, including animism, polytheism, and monotheism. Ancient legends and fictions indicate that solving a riddle within the mind or daring to think outside the box could lead to despair and catastrophe. However, in contemporary times, our beliefs have become more fluid and frequently face scrutiny. In the 16th century, a significant change occurred with the emergence of the scientific revolution, which started in Western Europe. The revolution gave us both many questions and answers. The more we as humanity know, the more we realize how much we do not know. Chapter 6. We have paid the price for our evolution. In the last 5 centuries, science and technology have enabled humans to advance beyond expectations. While religion believes that it holds all the answers about life, science uses empirical research to find solutions. Once we realized that disasters and global problems occur because of our ignorance, our focus shifted towards scientific inquiry. Scientists have conducted research and studies in fields aligned with our religious, economic, and political interests or the wishes of those in power. For example, Captain James Cook's voyages helped to pave the way for the later colonization of new regions. His expedition to Tasmania resulted in the tragic violence and extinction of the Tasmanian people. Was it a scientific expedition or a military operation to spread European imperialism? Probably both. There has always been a connection between science and imperialism, as conquering required scientific developments that helped them expand. Another great force of scientific progress is capitalism. From the financial perspective, capitalism is a system based on private ownership and a free market with profit as the main aim. Now capitalism has become more than an economic system, it has spread to our minds. It was also the force of European imperialism as authorities financed expeditions and discoveries, which led to financial success and colonization. Focusing solely on wealth and power also led to slavery, exploitation of people and resources, pollution, illnesses, and deaths. While capitalism is a force for progress, wealth, and innovations that solve our global problems, it is also a force of inequality, environmental degradation, animal exploitation, and individualistic and consumeristic behaviors. Overall, capitalism is a complex system, bringing us both progress and suffering. But what can we do about the suffering part? Acknowledge that the opposite system, communism, has even more disadvantages. Learn lessons about the mistakes we made in the past. Be patient. The economic pie will grow, and people will no longer be in need. Did you know? Due to the development of the free trade market economy, approximately 10 million enslaved Africans were transported to America during the 16th and 19th centuries. Chapter 7. The Industrial Revolution is a turning point in our history. Approximately 200 years ago, the beginning of the Industrial Revolution marked our connection to technology. With the invention of machines like the steam engine, we entered an era of mass production and consumerism. The emergence of consumerism has been necessary to ensure we purchase goods and cherish capitalism. Have you ever noticed how advertisements get into your head, convincing you that you will be happier with a particular product? Sometimes we may even feel like we are not enough, so we buy something to feel better. The Industrial Revolution also made us individualistic. In the past, people's wishes and welfare depended on their community and family. Now it's the responsibility of the government and the market to fulfill our desires. For example, people used to need their children to provide for them when they grew old. Now, the market provides us with jobs, pensions, and insurance. Historically, communities and families have imposed constraints on our freedom by determining our destiny. However, as time has progressed, we have gained the ability to make choices regarding our partners and life paths. This newfound freedom comes with its own set of challenges. Evolution has ingrained within us a predisposition for communal living, leading to feelings of detachment and isolation in modern society. Therefore, our collective imagination created things we can all believe in and belong to, like corporations, nations, religions, and consumer tribes, groups of people connected based on their interests and what they consume. We have transformed our world significantly and risen above all the other creatures on the planet. But have these advancements made the world a better place to live? Some argue that a more extensive scope of abilities makes us more miserable as we work harder and create new problems out of the progress, like environmental degradation or inequality. Our reality doesn't align with the forager brain that evolution has formed for us for millions of years. We also turned animals into machines to satisfy our needs while neglecting theirs, so they are not happier either. Another perspective says we progress by eliminating famine, deaths, and violence. We solve some old problems, but can't hide from the new ones behind the word progress. Conclusion. Our reality has two dimensions: the one we can see, forests, animals, and lakes, and the fictions we invented: governments, companies, and nations. The fate of the first dimension depends on what we imagine, the second dimension, and how we picture it. All things apart from science and objective reality are myths that enable us to build a prosperous society. As a result, if we stop believing in them, even concepts such as human rights and Apple will also disappear. Everything around us, from the internet to governments, is a product of our minds, and our desires are based on society's most famous myths. Do we feel happier than our ancestors in this capitalist consumerist society? One perspective is that our happiness depends primarily on biochemistry and less on psychological and sociological conditions. A business owner is not happier than a medieval servant, as it's not the money that makes us content, but serotonin, dopamine, and oxytocin. Getting another $1 million for a business owner is like buying shoes for a servant. Another view is that you can bear anything if you understand why and if it's meaningful. Scientifically, life has no meaning, but as beliefs in a paradisal afterlife of medieval people made them happy, we can create our reasons for happiness within. Another solution is eliminating cravings, accepting our feelings, and truly knowing who we are. Our thinking and communication skills united us and gave us immense power over the planet, and now it's our responsibility to use this power for the better. Try this, period. Take a moment to reflect on how the myths of society have influenced your life. Be mindful of the items on your shopping list and analyze their environmental and societal impact. Support companies that are violence-free and carry social responsibility.